Good evening, campers. It's me, Kieran, and you know what time it is? Well, we brought the maraca out so you know that it's a tag. My lord, what am I doing with my life? If you've been here for a long time, you should know, and if you're newer, you're gonna find out that basically I'm hip-hop and ready to bop. I know all the trends. I know all the memes. Not because I'm on TikTok. I wait for them to appear on YouTube Shorts like 2 weeks later. While all you young'uns are biting into fresh mean pasties going to cool down, I get the one right at the end of the day that's just savoury enough to make me go, ooh, I'll buy that again. And so, we're going to do a tag called They're a 10, but book tag. Very inventive. I've tagged a bunch of creators down below, and I hope that they do this, because otherwise it's just going to be me on my own, and that would be a bit awkward. Nevertheless, there are 6 questions that they're a 10, but you let me know down in the comments if those are still a 10 or not a 10. You decide, people. This is the power. Have it. Number 1, they're a 10, but they're over 500 pages long, and for that I'm going to go with The Eye of the World. I'm not get out of here. We've had enough fantasy people whinging about the Rings of Power. Let's move on to some hard-hitting stuff. Let's talk about Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Cancer Ward. It sounds really depressing. It's not as depressing as you think. It's still quite depressing, but it's not as depressing. Like, we haven't moved into like a little life territory here. Cancer Ward by Solzhenitsyn, I think, is like the best of his fiction. It is just an absolute gut punch as you have these men across Russia who have all been brought into the wards. All of the characters within this book cover the vast expanse of Russia and also differ in terms of status, wealth, class. All of that is just stripped down to the status quo as they're dealing with their tumours. But not all of them are going to die there, because Russia has decided that if it just lets people go, then they didn't technically die there. So technically, they cured the cancer. Wonderful book. I buddy read this last year with Tanya from Bookish Topics, and it was just wonderful. Both of us absolutely adored it. And I learned about trains. I learned about the train system in Russia. Yeah, take that, Ayn Rand. Ugh, Atlas Shrugged. Number 2, they're a 10, but they're on pre-order. And the you know what, I wrote this and I thought I had way more. I got 1 book on pre-order, and that is the new Salman Rushdie Victory City. Oh boy, I tell you now, the publishers, yes, they've already had an email from me being like, who do I need to take out on a fancy dinner to get a copy of that? Because, I cannot wait. How biased am I? Absolutely. Rushdie is my all-time favourite author, and his last book, Keyshot, was an absolute masterclass in meta-fictional narrative, story within story, just done on he did it on top of Don Quixote. What a man. And you know what? It can't be as bad as The Golden House. We do not talk about The Golden House on this channel. I refuse to talk about it. Do not ask me about The Golden House. It doesn't exist. Numero Trace. They're a 10, but they're a red flag. Does that mean book? Does that mean author? You interpret it as you want. But I'm going to go for Catcher in the Rye. I think people go a little bit too hard on Catcher in the Rye. I think it's doomed in regard to its legacy and the shooting of John Lennon and the fact that it's a known teenage angst book. But if you read honestly, if you read it, it's not as bad as people make out. It's good. Catcher in the Rye is good. I would like to stress that when I read Catcher in the Rye, I was 23. I was done with my teenage angst then. Don't let this haircut fool you. I'm just nearing my 30s, and I can do things like that now. Toodaloo, parental permission. Don't want to speak to you anymore. Pedwar, they're a 10, but they're over 100 years old. And I was surprised to realise that I don't own a copy of this book, and I'm not entirely sure, but 1, why, 2, how, or 3, where's my damn copy? Have a lot of her husband, who is like my all-time favourite poet. Maybe Byron is, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Shelley. Shelley. We're not talking about the husband. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This book, and also I have to stress the 1818 edition. Don't go giving me the 1831 with the revisions. No, I want it as original as it comes. 1818 or bust. Frankenstein as a classic is an absolute breeze. It is wonderful. It is great. I begrudgingly picked it up because it was on one of my university courses in regards to science fiction, and that is the first science fiction book, I would argue. I was like, oh, I think it's going to be boring. Maybe like smashed her in like 3 days. Mary Shelley, wow. And read Mary Shelley's other fictions. They're also 100 years old, but like Frankenstein's like quintessential, like, wow, this is great. Fun theatre 10, but they were studied in school. And I'm gonna like, I think this book's like my ride or die. I think I would like happily go on a hill and like battle axe people in regards to like, no, this is a really good book and I don't care what anyone says. It's Of Mice and Men. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck is great. Is anyone going to argue that? No, you're not. Remember the battle axe? Remember that analogy? Like, I will do that. I don't care. Of Mice and Men is wonderful. Like, it's like 120 pages. Like, who is arguing about Of Mice and Men? It's not overly written. It's simple. It's quick. It's great. It has rabbits. Like, I don't know what more. You can't criticise it. You can't criticise it. Mice and Men is absolutely wonderful. I've read a few more of Steinbeck's works and I love it. I do need to read East of Eden and The Grapes of Wrath. Not The Grapes of Wrath. Get out. Get out of here. Don't I hear people say Grapes of Wrath? No. I do need to read them one day, and as part of the Book a Boy book club, we're going to be doing The Grapes of Wrath, not Wrath. If you're interested in joining below, I will leave links down below. Join the Book a Boy book club. It helps me give out books across the world, internationally, for free. It's a great place to be. And then lastly, The Decorative Cherry, placed on top, number 6. There are 10, but they leave you an emotional wreck. And I don't know how many times I need to stress that S by Slavenka Drakulic absolutely ruined me, and people who've read it have made videos on it or have messaged me saying, geez, that was horrendous. A Little Life couldn't even hold a candle to the absolute emotional drainage that is going to happen when you read S by Slavenka Drakulic. Mate, that was like a really powerful ending. I'm really impressed with that, but I'd be more impressed if you want to do this tag. Tag me, tag others, go wild, TikTok, Biggity Bock, do the tag, or you're a drag. Peace out, boys.